My dear sisters and brothers in the Lord, the 22nd of August, 2006, Pope Benedict made me an Irishman, which proves miracles can still happen, right? That was the day I was ordained a bishop, and Benedict gave me the see in Ireland, which is now called Scattery Island, right in the mouth of the Shannon River. It is the monastery that was itself its own diocese, where St. Denis and St. Senan left to really evangelize and convert Europe as the earliest missionaries from Ireland. And I've always wondered after that day what it was like what was my kingdom, what it looked like. And so 2 years later, I went to Ireland for the first time for Youth 2000, and a group of hardy young Irish youth said, "Bishop, let's go see what it's like." Now, you know better than I, the weather in Ireland does not always cooperate, and so after the 2-hour drive from Clonmacnoise, we arrived, and it was so stormy. Even with my Wellingtons, it was impossible to go. You had to traverse the mouth of the Shannon River, so I just waved from far away. And Moira, who was with me, a young woman who was wiser, far wiser than her years, just looked at me and said, "Bishop, I guess that's life." And I've never quite forgotten her words, because whether she realized it or not, she was really teaching me something very profound. It is, in fact, what life is like, is it not? Best laid plans go to naught. When the storms of life arise, not of our making, that we cannot control, but we try to navigate, and in some way, shape, or form, hope that the boat of our life does not sink. Times of suffering, times of loss, times of confusion, not of our making. My friends, you and I gather here as a people of faith and as members of the ancient order, because we are no strangers to those storms, are we, in our own lives? Times when we have faced crises or challenges that, quite frankly, there was no easy response to them. And when we think of the long and rich history of the Irish people and how they have faced political oppression and injustice, and at times the inability even to practice their own Catholic faith, then we think of challenges beyond perhaps a single individual to overcome, and yet we remain united, do we not, as a people of faith, to ensure that there is justice and freedom for all God's children and all the Irish people. And so we come here each Sunday, do we not, to receive the body, blood, and divinity of Jesus, so that when the storms arise, we may not despair, but that we might have his strength and grace and power to travail whatever's there, because we never do it alone, that whatever challenge there is, Christ never abandons us, for he will love us to the end. He will love us to glory. And then there are the storms of our own making. And those, my friends, we can avoid, and at times you and I fall headlong into them. Those are the mistakes, the decision, the choices you and I make that are perhaps sinful, perhaps unreflective, perhaps reactive. And the Lord's counseling us today to at all cost avoid them. When he speaks of the log and the speck, when he speaks of good fruit from good trees, he's reminding us that we in our lives can navigate our life to some extent. And you and I, with the grace that we receive in baptism, confirmation, and every Sunday here at the altar of the Lord, you and I are asked to follow the example and witness of Jesus Christ, so that we will not add insult to injury, that we will not create that which is not needed, the tempests of our own foolishness and sins. For the Lord wants us, longs for us to have joy, a joy that is within our grasp. You may say, Bishop, what does that look like? Well, how many times have you and I reacted when we were dealt with unjustly by an equal act of injustice? How many times have you and I, all of us in this church, been hurt or wounded or betrayed by someone perhaps we love, and we have refused to forgive? We hold a grudge. We live in a world that says when you are hurt, seek vengeance, not necessarily mercy, kindness, or peace. And that's apart from the sins that I have committed in my life and you have committed in yours. You see, my friends, we're on the cusp of Lent, the great discipline of 40 days and 40 nights when you and I will walk into the desert with Jesus Christ. And the word Lent comes from the Old English word, and it means to plant. And so as you and I celebrate the great gift of St. Patrick, and when you and I gather at the club, I will have much more to say on how St. Patrick navigate the waters of this world. But for all of us here, we have a few days to recollect, to remember, and to prepare for those 40 days. What is it that you and I have done for which we need forgiveness? And what is it that you and I can do in our lives so that we will avoid the tempests and storms of our own making? Because Christ has come, Christ has died, Christ is risen, so that you and I may have a clear path to glory in him. And that path is for the asking. I must confess, my friends, it is many, many years since I first went to Ireland. It is still on my bucket list to get to Scattery Island. I'm going to give it one more chance the next time I go. And I presume what I'm going to see is a lot of ruined buildings, for that monastery has not been used for 1,300 years. But that's not my destiny, is it? Nor is it yours for the destinations that you and I will be navigating today. Our destiny is eternal life, where there will be no storms, no struggles, no pains, no injustice, where there will be peace and love beyond our reckoning. That is the journey you and I are on. Let us ask for the grace to navigate it so that we might have what Christ wishes to give to us all.